So thank you for taking time to talk.
Ah, my pleasure. That's fine.
Okay. And first question, what years did you serve in the military?
May 1966 to May of 1970.
Oh, it's pretty cool how you know. What?
You know these things.
Yeah.
It's like you never forget your rifle serial number 2211265. You know, it's just something that they drill into you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool how you still remember everything from it. What branch of the military did you serve in, and what was your rank?
Well, I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and I had barely finished high school. I cut school so much, you know. But when I went in the Marine Corps, they tested me and picked 13 of us out of our company for officer candidate school. And they came back, and this was in June, and said, Quantico is backed up with recruits, and it'll be February before you can go. And by the way, you have to be drill instructors till then. You can't get leave to go home. And, oh, guess what? You have to sign up for an additional 2 years.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. So out of the 13 men, none of us would sign the papers to sign up for another 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think the deal breaker was no leave to go home. And of the 13 men, and we were average 19 years old. 9 of them were married.
At 19?
At 19.
Wow.
And, you know, a couple of guys already had, you know, a kid on the way and stuff, and they wanted to go home and see their wives, and they said no. So I think that was one of the main reasons that people said no. So anyway, I lucked out and drew orders to go to avionics school, which is to maintain jet aircraft, the avionics systems, you know. And so, you know, in the 4 years I became an E5. So I was a sergeant when I got out. So I'm told that was, you know, pretty good rank to make for 4-year enlistment. So,
Yeah.
But at any rate, I think I made the right choice, because becoming an officer and signing for an extra 2 years, it would have been more of a career decision. And I think everything worked out for me the way it was supposed to.
Okay, where were you stationed?
Well, I was very, very fortunate. When I was going through avionics school in Jacksonville, Florida, that was after the basic training and everything, there were rumors for weeks and weeks on end that there were these orders coming to Hawaii. And everybody was going immediately to Vietnam from there, or to some staging area to go to Vietnam. And so this was like this, you know, fairy tale, you know, that you would hear going around, this rumor. And anyway, as luck would have it, I scored well enough that I got orders to go to Hawaii for 2 years.
I love that.
Yeah, to Kaneohe Bay, Oahu. And so that's where I spent 2 years of my enlistment. And at the time, we were a rear support base for Vietnam, as far away as it actually was. So all of the carriers and squadrons that were coming back from Vietnam stopped there for service, and the ones that were on their way there, you know, we supported too. So when I finished my 2 years there, that was considered overseas duty, so they couldn't send me to Vietnam. So I spent the last year of my of the 4 years back in the States, in Olathe, Kansas, in an ancient base that should have been closed after World War I. But it was very near University of Kansas, and we had a year to move after I got out of the service. So I decided to attend the college there for a year, and then came back here and completed my study at the University of Texas.
Yeah.
So, but the Marine Corps was very, very good to me, and the GI Bill basically financed my college education, that and my wife working. And so, you know, it turned out to be, I owe it a lot to the Marine Corps for, first of all, it let me know that I had, you know, two brain cells to rub together, you know, that I was smarter than I gave myself credit for, because I had never taken study seriously. But it helped me also to develop the discipline, you know, to carry through with an education that I wouldn't have had as a young man otherwise. That really hadn't crossed my mind, and it was a challenge, and it was tough enough that I knew I wanted, and not that there was anything wrong with it, but that was not the way I wanted my life to go, you know, and so I wanted something that was a profession, and, you know, so you know, there were enough challenges in the Marine Corps that I knew that I could accomplish it. Going to avionics school I found it to be interesting. I mean, a lot of electrical engineering type work involved in that, and you know, once I realized, well, that's no problem, then, you know, school didn't seem that big a deal either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Why did you choose to sign up?
Well, when I got out of high school, the draft was on, and when you hit 19, if you weren't in college, and I was a poor kid, if you weren't in college with a college deferment or working for a defense plant that gave you a deferment, or married with like 2 kids, I think, it was crazy. Anyway, you got a draft notice in the mail, and I did for the Army. And a friend of mine was home on after basic training from the Marine Corps, and we got together, and I told him, you know, I'd gotten a draft notice, and he said, you don't want to do that. He said, that you go to, if you're drafted, you go in the Army for 2 years, there's not enough time for them to train you for anything, so you're going to end up being a grunt, you know, a rifleman trudging through the jungles in Vietnam, and there's a high probability you're going to get shot, you know.
Yay.
And you gotta remember, we had 50 some odd thousand men killed in that war, and hundreds of thousands wounded, and many more than that, you know, messed up from PTSD and all kind of things. So anyway, I said, well, I didn't know I had a choice. He said, no, you can still go down and join the Marine Corps. He said, I love it. He said, I'd recommend that, and you'll get some training. But it means joining for 4 years. They didn't have a different enlistment, and so I did. I joined, and you know, again, one of the it was a real eye opener the first day I was there. You know, I knew I was in very good shape physically and mentally. But it was not something I would have imagined, you know. Just the discipline involved, more so than anything, was tough for me. The physical part wasn't really too terribly bad. My enlistment was deferred for 4 months, and I had a job unloading and loading boxcars in an unair-conditioned warehouse. And I mean, it was physical labor. And before that, I had a paper route that I walked.
This is where the recording ended. My camera had died somehow, but I managed to call him and get questions and write those down on paper and put those in a presentation for the video. Question 6 was, what are some stories that you have? Question 7 was, how has serving in the military changed your life? Question 8 was, what is your definition of patriotism? Does Hollywood portray war accurately? If not, what are your concerns about it? Question 10 was, what do you want 8th grade students to understand about war/serving in the military? Question 11 was, what would you like to see the Obama administration do for the military? Thank you again, Mr. Cherry, for letting me interview you for my project.